Hello and welcome to the Stacking Dingers show. I am your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep. Find me online at T4RKSH33P underscore. This, of course, is your home for all things Underdog and DraftKings MLB Best Ball. Tonight, I am joined by my good friend and partner, Billy Jones. Billy, how are you tonight?
I'm good. We were chatting about this earlier, just before the show, what we're going to be talking about, and I'm excited. I feel like we've been diving into players so deeply that it's fun to like kind of step back a little bit today, and not be so like in the weeds and do a little bit more like macro thinking.
Yeah, I think, that's one of the things that we are good at is kind of driving some of the macro thinking. And yeah, you probably noticed we're not talking pitchers. Pitcher week will be next week. Go back and watch the infield and outfield rundowns the last couple of weeks. A lot of great stuff there. Probably some out of date stuff, and but a lot of good stuff where we talk through a lot of players. And even if you disagree with us, I think it's good to hear about every player at least once. And personally, I like it hearing what other people have to say because at a certain point you just like get in your own head and it's just good other opinions. Yeah, if you go over to www.stackingdingers.com, of course, you can get this show and all of our written work done by Paul uh, right into your inbox. He just published some write ups on the last month of ADP risers and fallers, and you can see the top at each position on that. We won't dive too much into that, maybe a little bit. A lot of stuff injury related, but he pulled out some good notes on some players that maybe not along the injury lines that are changing ADPs.
Yeah, that was a good article. I've been loving his writing this year. I mean, he's doing the ADP stuff, which is a great keep like steady state understanding where the market's been going and the big movers. But it's also got some other fun articles and more coming. So if you aren't subscribed to the Substack, definitely do that so you can get that in your email.
Yeah, and we have, of course, the private Discord going for our YouTube members. That is the one benefit of joining the YouTube channel here. Both of the levels, the stacker and the super stacker, both get you into that. Super stack alert will get you a shout out on the show. Otherwise, that is the main benefit is just that awesome conversation. So shout out to everybody that's in there. Every day there's good conversation, and I'm enjoying having that place to be.
Yeah, I was kind of, I mean, like, I had no clue what to expect. So this year, I was like, we're
Yeah,
going to do this. Like, we're just going to kind of open it up, see if people are willing to say we support the show and appreciate what you guys are doing. And it's been like lively and like fun. We have someone crushing like spring training DFS. Like, I love it. So it's just been like a fun little community to talk best ball and other baseball related things. Yeah, so I think it's been a success so far.
yeah. We really honestly didn't know what to expect, and we talked a lot about like what can we provide people. We wanted to still provide everything for free that we had been previously, and the simplest thing was make other people do it for us and just talk to each other. But having that space and monitoring that space and keeping that space friendly and welcoming is awesome. So yeah, we're just kind of talk about a few different subjects tonight. Pretty relaxed, casual show. Obviously, you mentioned spring training is going, and the big. We'll save the big news or the big topic for last, but we do have, we have the hamate bone injury guys. For the most part, their ADPs took an initial dip and kind of steadied and buoyed back up. They all seem like they're progressing towards opening day or a few weeks or a month or not. Lindor and Carroll are seem like they're going to be fine. The question still remains, and it'll be, on a player per player basis on how their swing and their power reacts to having that hamate removed. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as some people think. But also, when I say that, the ADP doesn't really match that. Most people are thinking it's going to be bad either.
Yeah, I mean, so there's like three primary guys, right, that have been hurt: like Lindor, Carroll, and Jackson Holiday. Is there anyone else that had that hamate?
Nope, it was those three.
So the top two, Lindor and Corbin Carroll, like those are bona fide stars. Like we don't have questions about how good they are, even if they take a slight step back. They're still stars like that. So you've seen a little bit of an adjustment, but it's like people are. There's no question about the talent. And one thing with Jackson Holiday, like I don't know if he's a good like major league hitter yet. Like league average maybe, but like is he going to be what we want in this like format at all? Like, or is he just? I don't know. So like, I think that's why we've seen more fall on him than we've seen on the other two, and rightfully so.
But even then, he's still at 140 ADP right now as we're having this conversation, which is where I wouldn't even know if I'd take him there if he didn't have it still. So yeah, I think there's some questions there. We have a few like question injuries. Like seems still early enough in spring that there's like it just caution. Samuel Basallo came out of the game today after a play at the plate, and that seems to be fine. Brenton Doyle's another one that had some imaging on a hit by pitch on his hand that we're kind of waiting. At least as of this afternoon when I was looking, there was no update on that. And a couple guys like Munetaka Murakami, who's been an interesting guy that we're watching in spring to see how
he's tired, dude. The dude was tired. like that's not what I want to hear. Like he played like a couple half games.
Yeah, he played a couple half games, and today was said not to be playing because he had fatigue. And he is about to travel over to Japan for the World Baseball Classic. So I don't know. I don't want to read too much into that, but it is scary when you say that. Yeah, he's tired already. What about when he plays like a week of full games? How tired is he going to be then?
Yeah, how is he going to be tired when the White Sox are like by far last in the division, and it's already like July? So that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, and he's been doing okay in his games that he's played. He's had some hard hit balls, as pointed out by someone in our Discord. Saints to death. A lot of the hits have been not great in terms of exit angle, but it's a very small sample size. But that wasn't something that we were worried about as part of the profile, which would be kind of scary if he has the strikeout problem, he hits the ball hard, and then he's hitting it into the ground, which is kind of not what we want out of him.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about the ball hard part. I think that hitting the ball down doesn't feel like it's a thing. I don't know. I liked what I've seen so far.
Yeah. The other Japanese star or potential star, Kaz Okamoto, has been kind of just on fire so far. He already had some hype from the fantasy community coming into spring. He started off cold in terms of hype, and that's been growing. Let me see where he's at.
Yeah, he's not as like buzzy coming out, but I think he's a much more professional hitter, and he's going to rack up a ton of points. The downside I don't think is there really, and he's kind of shown up like right off the bat in spring training that he's a professional hitter.
He's at 173 at the moment.
Feels a lot like Seiya Suzuki in terms of like the kind of translating over and being just like a good solid high 20s, potentially 30s home run kind of guy.
Yeah, and by all means, he could hit well in the top of that lineup. Springer, him, Vlad, something like that. I don't know. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen a real lineup from Toronto yet. I feel like they have been kind of splitting their stars between days. They haven't really put out this is my starting lineup. Sometimes a team will be like, okay, this is the day that our stars start or our main lineup starts, and then the next day it'll be scrubs, and then some teams split them between overlapping games, and then eventually, they work towards it. The other question that we'll have, or the problem we'll have, is, we just mentioned Murakami going to the World Baseball Classic. Other guys are going to start going and doing their traveling for that, so we're not going to be able to necessarily lock down lineups as quick as we would maybe in previous years.
Yeah, and we'll have to pay attention to certain like position battles and noting who's left. And I think it's interesting that like Scooble's coming back after pitching one like game against like in the pool play, which is likely going to be a layup, I believe. Did someone say it's like Great Britain or something like that? But yeah, I think it's good. That is a good note. I didn't even think about that you're going to have like muted rosters and you have to pay attention with some of our stars.
Yeah. We've lost some pitchers along the way. Pablo Lopez, Tommy John surgery. Spencer Schwellenbach was another guy that was being drafted a lot. And he should be back at some point, but I don't know that it lines up well. He's kind of a no draft for me. Garrett Cole on the other side coming back from injuries seems to be a little bit more ahead than we expected, which is something that I've started to buy in at his cost. At his ADP, I'm falling for it down there as opposed to where Zach Wheeler is going, who by all means Zach Wheeler was better when he was pitching last year than Garrett Cole when he pitched before the injury last year. So I understand why Zach Wheeler is going higher, but for me, the point where I'm taking him, I'm not feeling like I'm wasting a roster spot as much as where Wheeler is going.
Yeah, and as we get closer and closer to the tournament starting, it becomes less painful to take on like an injured pitcher because you're less likely to have the rest of your roster be injured. And that's why I'm actually moving towards more elite pitching at this point, just because I know when I draft more pitchers early, I have to get to 6. And with that, I hate having the potential of like having a dead roster spot before the season starts as a pitcher, and only having 5. So Garrett Cole, kind of that same logic fits to Garrett Cole. Now that you're like, okay, I have a pitcher that I'm opting into that is going to be little hurt at the beginning, and we may not get the innings in, but that's when I'm going to have the rest of my roster have the most likelihood of being pitching. And then when he's going to be back is when you might have someone leave. So like I can see, it's a more comfy click as we get closer for sure.
Yeah. And then we are seeing some fun young guys hitting home runs in spring. We got Jack Caglione, who hit like would have been I think it was a top 10 exit velocity hit of last season if he had hit it during season last year. So he's hit a couple of bombs that I think his stock's going to be going up if that keeps going on. Bryce Eldridge hit a home run the other day. A couple of young guys. Who else? Sal Stewart hit a home run. Anybody else exciting?
You know who I'm going to talk about? Miami Marlin.
Joe Mack hit a grand slam home run.
Jacob Marcy hit a home run.
Yes.
He's hitting 500. I mean, it's on only 6 at bats, but
right. Yes,
a couple walks in there. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that start's gone.
Yeah, and we didn't point that out, but we're talking about this like it's important, but most of the stuff isn't super important right now. Sample sizes, spring training, who knows what pitcher they're facing for all of this. even if it's a good pitcher, who knows what state that pitcher is in when they're pitching in their first game or two, or what they're working on, etc. So, like, don't take any of this as gospel, but things will change because of it. So it's worth talking about these things.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to it. I mean, the sample size is really small right now, but in a couple of weeks, the sample size is going to be a little bit bigger. And, some people buy into it. So it's just, someone starts off hot, you kind of pay attention if they're going to stay that way. Yeah. Especially if it's a name that we're looking for something. Like if Jacob Marcy came out and was 0 for 9, like I was like, I would be in a completely different state. I'd be like, oh my goodness, how do I unwind what I've done in the last couple months?
I take it back.
Yeah, sorry everyone who joined the Discord. I was wrong.
It's like that question, like, what would you do if you had a time machine? It's like everybody's supposed to say go back and kill Hitler, and your answer is go back and don't tout Jacob Marcy for a month.
But it's tell myself a year and a half ago, no Tolia, no Marcy, like just be normal.
Yeah. Hey, you brought Tolia up tonight. I didn't have any plans.
Yes.
Of doing that. But there's other stuff. Brandon Woodruff ramp up is questionable. I'm sure we're missing much. We didn't make a comprehensive list. We just kind of, like I said, it's a pretty relaxed episode today. But the most important thing that we do probably need to talk about is the Connor Griffin question. Obviously, I say that. I use that word way too often when it's not meaningful. But if you saw, he hit 2 home runs in one game, and after that, it was up for ADP. He was already a feature of one of the ADP risers columns by Paul. He is just trending upwards. Today, Ken Rosenthal interview on TV saying he's trending towards making the open day roster compared to a week ago or so when the manager was being interviewed and said, "Oh, it's a tough road for him," or whatever, baseball cliche he used to say that he was going to probably go to the minors. So I think that just that one phrase by Ken Rosenthal today is going to, if there was anything holding back the floodgates, that just kicked out the last log holding up the dam.
Yeah, it's kind of game over. I mean, the 2 home runs is we saw a bit of a spike, and then now it's just gonna go nutty. And I really wish I had more now. Not even that I think that he's gonna be. I think he's a rookie. He's gonna have his tough times, but I also think the upside's immense. But just from a game playing perspective, I wish I had more of a bag of him now so that I could have more patience and get my values. I do want to you got to note that we also got the Derek Carty tweet today.
Yes,
about it too.
That doesn't hold anybody back. That's just everybody just rolls their eyes and expects that at this point.
Yeah,
I feel it didn't even get the usual reaction.
Well, at this point, it's an annual tradition, and people were tweeting about it before it actually happened.
Right.
It's like with the 2 home runs coming, it's Cardi tweet tomorrow. It was great, though. I mean, he nailed it as always.
Yeah. So the question is, everybody's going to ask us, where do you take him now? Obviously, you're not going to get him at ADP, right? He's got an ADP of, as we're talking here, of 142, and he's not going to be going there because people are going to be grabbing him earlier, most likely. Most of the time, there's always going to be someone in the room that's hyped on a guy like that and pulling him up. So the question comes, how far? You said you wanted to get more exposure to him, or wish that you had more exposure to him. Let's pull up the infielders around him right now. Right, so he's right ahead of Ozzie Albies. In between him and Trevor Story, Jackson Holiday, like I said, is right there. Hunter Goodman, Murakami. I'm just scrolling up. Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Jeremy Pena. Yeah, all of these names are guys that are boring. That
he's going to blow right through all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just keep scrolling. Yandy Diaz, Bryce Trang is 104. Michael Bush is 100.
That's it. I think
That's
and I think it'll be quick to get to there. That's like the quick immediate reset, and then I think you're going to see a trickle still above that, and
yeah,
I think probably ends in like I could see it him pushing on Corey Seager in round 7, right next to William Contreras, ahead of C.J. Abrams and Bo Bichette. Like no problem.
yeah, for sure. If he keeps, if the things keep trending this way, and even
Yeah.
then, I don't know like what stops it now. Like he would have to. I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't
he's
know what
really
would stop
good. Like he's
it. Right.
really good.
Yeah.
It's like I just don't see the fail happening unless it's like I don't know. Like everyone was eyes all over him, and he just hit 2 absolute missiles. Like I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The first one was a meatball, and like I in the Discord said like I would have done damage with that, and then he kind of like gave me the troll face, like they're like, calm down, Billy. I'm like, I could play a little bit back in the day, but that's back in the day. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, but those
Yes.
balls were absolutely destroyed. And yeah, I think we're gonna if we keep seeing this, it's gonna be yeah. And he has one ball that he hit that would have been a home run, but the wind just said stop. So like, I think that there's a lot here.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up the way too. Yeah. And so, no, that can't be right.
The
This
what?
only has him at one. I pulled up his stats. And he's got 1 home run on MLB.com. MLB.com is not reliable for spring training stats. Um, but yeah, he's 19 years old. Seems like he'll make the team. So the question, we kind of talked about that, but we also the closest comparison, I guess. I don't know. It's not exactly close, but there's a comparison to be made here that we wanted to talk about. A couple years ago, 2023, Corbin Carroll. He, as you reminded me before we started, Corbin Carroll did start out the season prior to, I guess, the 2022 season. He started out um, in the big leagues towards the end of the season. So he did have some, and he wasn't as young. He's not as short in the minors, but in terms of a guy that could rise a major amount, we thought this was just the closest case study that we could kind of come to and discuss in terms of Connor Griffin.
Yeah, exactly. So this is fortunately I had done this a couple years ago when Corbin Carroll like they did this when this happened. So I this had this data all pulled. So this didn't have to create anything new to do this, which was nice. But yeah, we see like this mass amount of steam that came here, and this because he had played the year before, and like it was obvious he was gonna be on the team. Like he was already started much higher, but like he just this is almost like a straight line of just continuous downward movement on ADP. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of this kind of concept too. So like this is good, puts a little frames what was happening to him as his ADP. Let's go to the next chart. I think is much more interesting. So this one, what it is his advance rate in each round that he was being drafted, and it's really interesting to me that of course he was a better pick when he was being drafted later than what it was when he's being drafted earlier. And actually, this isn't actually round; it's like groups of ADP costs, but we don't need to get into that. That's not important. But it's directionally it was that he was much better pick later than he was earlier, but he still never really stopped being a good pick until you got to like very expensive. So I think that there is a world where like Connor Griffin could do this. Like the rise is fine. You're not going to want to get into the egregious like stars, but like chasing them up the board is like totally acceptable, and we've seen it work.
Yeah. Yep. And he, like you said, he might struggle. He could still struggle, but we've seen a success on a riser like this, and the advance rate being fine across the board. So
Mhm.
the people are going to tell you not to. Well, I don't know, but the general concept always gets tossed out there is, oh, I can't take him now because there's teams with him at a better value. But just his ability and his to score points potentially can be helpful along the way. And at a certain point, it's just like more of a one versus one. Obviously, he's going to be better later, but he still adds to your team. I don't know if there's anything else in this other slide that.
This one's like a little noisy. It's gonna just tell you there is a fair amount of range here, and you can see that there's a lot of like all those blues were advancing teams. So you see a lot very like even to what you get later, a lot of teams are still advancing here. Yeah, on the topic of like people will have better versions. Yeah, absolutely. Like people could have better versions of it, but we're talking like unless you expect the finals ownership to be immense for a player like this, like it's not it doesn't really matter. Like you're gonna have a bigger roster. You have a big roster of players that are hope they're gonna be impactful, and the only time it really would matter is in the finals, right? And you've had to go through multiple hurdles. And this year it's harder than it had been in the past. So you got to go 212, was it 110, 110 or something like that, 19, 110. But like it's I don't know. I think you're going to get withered down, and you don't have to. Even if you do, like you're not playing them in the first round, so you're talking about like this like kind of random event in the second and third round. So I'm not concerned about people having better versions. If I think it's just like I'm going to keep drafting him, just not like with like not. I'm just not chasing like crazy, but I'm gonna draft him at ADP or better,
Yeah,
slightly better.
I think the hardest part about drafting him is knowing how to draft him or getting him before somebody else decides to, and that's just a how long are you going to wait? But I guess this is our permission to chase him up the board a bit, even starting
Yeah.
from where or even from where he's at now.
Well, there's a lot to like. You chase him up a little bit. There's going to be more to happen. So like, there's still CLV to be had.
Yeah.
Even though other people might have it better.
Yep. All right. So I think that's kind of the wrap on our spring training stuff. Then the other thing we wanted to go through is how we've been drafting so far this year. I kind of looked through what we've done. I've personally got 31 dingers done. I'm a little bit behind in my drafting. I need to get going a little bit more. Billy, how many are you at? And I know, I'm guessing you're on pace since you're much better at tracking that, but how are you doing and how many have you done?
I'm at 55. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Goal is to get 100. I'm good. If I can get a buck more than that, I'll do it. But I'm not gonna like the goal is 100, and that's what my plan is for. And I'm slightly ahead of pace on that, where I want to be. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. So
I see like an interesting spread for you. You have not drafted the ninth pick one time.
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, we should first say the website is fantasy.vip. Michael, his his Twitter handle is somehow harder to parse than mine, which hats off to him for that. It is ooh for the win, 4 O's and FTW. So maybe I'm feeling a little bit how like when somebody tries to shout out mine, I'm feeling a little bit. Maybe I should.
This is your aha moment, and like, oh, this is how people feel.
Yeah, they have me on a show and have to say how to find me. Like, yeah, but regardless, Michael is an awesome guy. He has put together this free tool on fantasy.vip is the website. It's under the Best Ball tools, MLB Exposure. In the My Data column, you just take, I guess, actually, why don't we? I have Underdog open here. So if you're not familiar with how to do this, go to your completed drafts, and it will normally take you to this MLB contest section. Jump into whatever section you want. He's got he can upload the early data still, the eliminator teams, and it's all separate uploads. But he is covering them all on his site, and you simply click this email exposure CSV button on whatever section you want. That'll go to your email. That'll give you a CSV file, and then that's where you can go here. Just hit upload CSV and select it, and it'll load all of your drafted teams and data right up in here.
Yeah, this tool is cool. Like, this is a lot of what I've always done, like on my own personally, and I don't have to manage a lot of it now. I just kind of use this and run with it. There's some stuff I do because there's just ways that I like to look at it that are, as you said, too advanced. This is awesome, and I've chatted with Michael, and he's constantly adding stuff, taking feedback, which I think is just like so great. And this is free, so this is just like, I'm just so excited that someone's doing this for the MLB community, because I feel like it's NFL, it's football all the time, and to see this like here, this is what the type of stuff that'll allow people to play and not feel, and play at a little more volume comfortably, and it's free. So I'm like, oh wow, so well done, Michael. If you're watching this, thank you so much.
Yes, and to be fair, Spike Week has something similar and is a good tool behind a paywall. So obviously, if you're using that, that's fine. And I don't want to denigrate what they've done, because they have also supported the MLB Best Ball community with tools where not most people haven't. But this is free, so that's kind of so sorry to them. But I'm going to go here for free at the moment. But yeah, so I started here on the portfolio. You can filter by slate and contest type, and I'm mostly interested in the dinger as we discuss this. The other stuff is here, but yeah, as you pointed out, I have yet to get a 9 spot in the draft. This is something that if I don't care about at all. Maybe I'll say that too many times tonight, and we'll laugh at me as we go on. But something kind of always bugs me when someone's like, "Oh, I never get Ohtani. Look at my rates," and I understand why people get annoyed or want to talk about it, but to me, I'm more interested in drafting the team that I get. I don't know. That's just my brain space, and especially the ninth pick, it doesn't really matter. It's more like, how many times do I draft in 11 and 12 versus 1 and 2 is really what people care about.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the complaint from, like, there does seem to be a drop off in the elite outfielders. So getting that 11, 12, which you seem to be blessed with, is a little, can be frustrating. But also, but on the flip side of it, there's nothing, like, what are you supposed to do? But that gives you some optionality at the 11, that later picks, to pick who you want. Like 1, 2, like, if you want more Ohtani, like, what are you gonna? There's nothing you can do about it. Like, there's no point in complaining on that. Like, you pick the guy you want. You pick the top guys as they're ordered, and you move on. Like, unless you want to be real aggressive with it. But, like, I don't know. I think that, yeah, I agree with you in that that's just, like, it is what it is. Like, they're not doing it to be nefarious. You just kind of play the game that the hand that's dealt in your way.
Yeah. Then the other section here is your builds on this portfolio sheet. That's the other part that I'm kind of looking at on this page. The builds, I know I'm always going to be 776 for the most part. Like, I did build the interesting 686 the other day that I was kind of happy with, but for the most part, I'm being boring in that. But I think the more important part, and I know you look at this a little bit more in depth, even in terms of like how you start versus how you finish. But I think the more important part is how you are building in the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, we've done a lot of research on this, on starts that work and starts that it's an uphill battle to make it work. And this is allows for you to kind of ensure you're not doing things that are just harder than it needs to be. But also, I'm a big fan of having some zero pitcher builds and some like heavier pitcher builds and timing based. And this allows you to kind of make sure you're kind of tracking with some of that. I also think that if we're talking about these getting the premium guys, you want to have a somewhat of a solid spread of the premium guys, because if the rest of your roster gets you to the finals, you don't want to have only done it one way. If you land on the Cal Raleigh at like a high percentage, like you want a big spread on how you started, so because you'll drag any roster along. So I think that this is great for showing that, and yeah.
All right, and then it does have the stacks here that you're using the most. Big surprise, Jackson Trail, Wilson Contreras is my most paired together two guys. Kind of surprised by the Gleyber Torres, Kevin McGonigal thing. I think that's just because this is probably, this 3 times I've made this Torres McGonigal green stack. This is probably something I need to realize that every time I've taken Riley Green out of the 3 times I've done this. So this is good to know in terms of I shouldn't do this every time. If I tend to do it just on accident or for stacking purposes, is good, but doing it every time, Gleyber Torres gets hurt, maybe that drags down all my Riley Green teams too.
Yeah, and there's a great combos page here, which we'll talk about at some point. But This is like a surface level look. This is great for that. Could you guess my top stack, or could you guess
your top before?
Can you guess what team it is?
I want to say Rockies, but it's not Rockies, is it?
It's the Rockies.
It's the Rockies. All right, let's pull it up. We learned nothing.
We learned nothing.
Here's your portfolio.
Yeah, we're at 55. Mostly 776. Trying to get to some other builds too. Have not done a 5 anything build, so I applaud you for having more creativity than I do. But yeah, you can see like I'm trying to be intentional with some of the builds I'm getting to. Fair spread on like the pick slots I've been getting, a lot of 8s. So you've been seeing a lot of Kyle Tuckers. But then you can see here also some of my top stacks are kind of all this Rockies build, which I've done a bunch of Doyle, Tovar, and Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also getting to a bunch of Braves as well. So, yeah.
All right. Did you want to hop over to that combos tool then and talk a little bit more about that? Or
there's 2 ways on here that you can do combos, which I really like on both of them. You can look at via the ADP board, and so you can see here, like I have a bunch of Kyle Tucker because where he lands, and I think it's a good pick just in general. Mm-hmm. And so like you could go just be like Kyle Tucker.
Well, before we do that, why don't we talk about this just a little bit more in case somebody has.
Oh yeah,
this is something that has kind of become industry standard, but just in case you haven't seen it, this is essentially the ADP laid out in terms of a draft board, and then just taking your exposures and displaying them across the draft board. So it gives you the chance to look at, just in a visual way, identify how you're drafting in terms of I'm in this round, I'm taking this guy, I'm not taking this guy. And I think a lot of times this stuff happens and you're not aware of it. I don't know what you think, if that's true or not, but a lot of this stuff isn't intentional, and you can identify some things that you might be missing in terms of guys that you're picking and missing out on other guys because you're taking that person.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you can see here, this is littered with like a lot of like high exposure guys. And some of that is because, this is because they are all targets for me. But I think that what I'm just looking at right here, I'm over my skis on a lot of guys right now, and too much. Like, and this helps you do that, is because you can also see that I have a lot of just like very low exposures, and I don't need to beat this right. I can kind of build some more optionality into how I can win just by being a good drafter. So, but yeah, this is like, as you said, this is like become industry standard and a way to look at it. And when you filter this becomes crazy. So
Yeah. Okay.
like,
So go ahead and do that.
well, actually, I think to show the use case, I want to show someone on the turn. So I'm going to show Roman Anthony. You can see here that I had a decent little chunk of Roman Anthony, but this is every player that I've drafted with Roman Anthony, and you can see a large chunk of it is just stacked on this left side of the board. It's all tied to this like 1-2 turn that all fits here. And so this tells me like, okay, with Roman Anthony, I have a bunch of Otani, Judge, Soto, Acuna. Like it's just on that front side of the board. I have a lot of Nimmo because he fits in that 4 or 5 turn really well, and so on. But what you were talking about, how you're saying you have a lot of Riley Green and then maybe Glaber and so on. This tells you exactly that. That you may have way too much of it, and how you've drafted. So I'm obsessed with doing this, going side by side on a screen when I'm drafting on a computer. This on one side and my draft on the other side, and just like kind of flicking between players and seeing who I've done combos with.
Yeah, I'm just throw up mine here with filtered on Riley Green. Yeah, 100% of the time I've got Kevin McGonigal tacked on at the end, and Gleyber
100%
Torres
Glaber.
also 100% of the time. So yeah, this is a way to see that. Obviously, it's hard to, or you don't need to search by every player, but that's where you can use this. Oh, maybe you're noticing something over on this tab that you can then look a little bit more into on this tab.
Actually, go to the next tab, combos.
Okay, I did notice that you had a big a red spot here though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I want more like known commodity at that point in the second round, but I guess I'm a complete like, I am obsessed with Nick Kurtz, but I'm out on Jackson Churio. I think that's not the same. I think those are like the same argument I'm trying to make, one versus the other, because of like unproven but exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I more wanted to say, because I just had to say that, but also putting in Jackson Trio here, I am also doing this. You can see the same sort of pattern. The guys that are in the green up until the 9th round are all left side guys. So this, like, it's hard when you're taking an Aaron Judge to pair him with other guys, and you're going to want to take stuff down the left because it just lines up. But so you can't move where you take Aaron Judge, but you can move where you take other guys in other rounds. Whereas a Jackson Churio, you could start taking him, or a Gunnar Henry, any of these guys, you could take at the end of the first or the beginning of the second, and then try to build that team from that draft position, and that's going to get you. That's probably going to get you naturally to get 2 other guys on that team. Whereas if you're taking them, this sort of person always at ADP, you're going to run into this problem more.
Yeah, we haven't really talked a ton about uniqueness, but if you're interested in uniqueness, this is how you do it. And the way that you make sure that you don't like lose a ton of value is understanding what tiers. So like this is the group of infielders that I all think are going to score within the same like general range.
Mm-hmm.
I can move someone up from the bottom of the tier to the top of the tier, no problem, comfortably, and be like, okay, I've created a new combo and I've lost nothing from a projected total points. No, the leverage that I've gained is significantly more than whatever like minute loss that I don't think is actually even exists. So like, I think that doing it and being intentional, not dumb. Like I really like, for example, with this front side of the board, you bring over Jackson Merrill. I'm still chasing outfielders at that point, someone with some significant upside. Now you line them up with Manny Machado, and so that like fits on the front side of the board so much better.
This is, yeah, you can see earlier, a lot in the right
Yeah,
side.
and Manny Machado's dropped a little bit, so it's made it a little bit easier to get him on the backside. But like, those are the type of things where if you move one guy up and you can set a stack up, I think it's like really cool.
Yes. Famously, that was your 2 years ago Met stack.
Best team I've ever drafted.
Yeah. You brought Lindor up into the stack. All right. I'll throw you back on here and you can talk about this other combos tab. I, to be honest, have not used it too much up to this point.
Yeah, so we just shown like you can go search combos and see how the draft boards align. Like I think it's really awesome to see how it visually aligns because we can make sure you're doing pulling guys across the board.
Right.
But with it, like natural alignment in the board plus stacking plus desire to like fit certain structures, you're gonna get like a ton of certain combos. And I'll zoom in to make this more visible. And what this shows you is just that is how many times have you drafted player A? So I've drafted Nick Lodolo 7 times. On those Nick Lodolo 7 times teams, Zach Neto is on 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go search for it and click through every single potential combo. This tells me that right there. And then if I wanted to filter it down further, you can absolutely do that with the filters that are provided here. I think this as is great. Do you know why I think it's great? Because I told him to do it this way. We've been
you're a bit biased.
I'm very biased here because we had been chatting in like on Twitter in DMs about doing it this way, and I think because this really kind of tells the story of what you're doing, and he's done a great job highlighting that. So that Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill stack, like that's green. That's seems a little bit better than that because that is logically aligned. Eugenio Suarez and Taylor Ward doesn't really have any correlation there. So like that one I probably don't want. The Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado is more accepting, even though I think the pair rate is way too high. So yeah, that's what this is showing. I think this is a brilliant tool.
Yeah. I don't have any greens. I have all uncorrelated pairing at the top. Let me throw mine up here. Zoom in also. Yeah. Corey Seager and Murakami. This just tends to be right now where I'm at. It's just guys I like happen to come together because I'm drafting them a lot in my exposures. Which
that'll happen. It's like I think that starts to manage this when you get enough volume that'll matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then that is something then you can look at in a little bit or a lot of bit better way than you can on the Underdog website itself. You can look at players and you can see some other information. So the ADP and then where you took them. I'm not looking at this too often. Mine's more. I use this more just to look. Oh, here's my guys that I have the most of, and just have a little more information, as well as again here you can go and see how you're doing and quickly filter on the team itself. Not just like in the stack mode, but just how you're going by team. And I skipped it quick, but you can see in this MLB teams, you can see, how much you are taking different teams. So Texas, Seattle, New York, Milwaukee, Miami, Dodgers. Atlanta's up there, Baltimore's up there. You can see like how much you're investing into different teams. As much as I've talked about St. Louis, I don't actually have a lot of St. Louis, and you can see my my tiny little purple nub here.
One of us has learned. One of us did not.
Actually, Cincinnati is the most you're invested in. Is that? I guess is that pitching too? Maybe it's worth filtering out because you.
Yeah, I could take out pitching. I think that's we'll do batters here. It still is the highest. I think I've gotten up to I know I've gotten to a ton of TJ Friedel as like outfield 5, even maybe outfield 6, and just being done. I also just Sal Stewart's been a big target. Matt McLean. Since Suarez is signed, it was big on him. I need to get more Ellie if I'm going to draft this much of the team in total. But I think that it's just like great ball. You look at these the two highest batting locations. It's just great ballpark. And I think that's maybe too simplistic of it, but they're also great ballpark and pretty cheap. Like the players I'm into are not like TJ Friedel's we're talking about here.
And the Colorado pieces especially still
very cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is like the hitter part is probably the most interesting, but the pitching is also, I think, a little bit interesting. Where you're going for pitching.
This is sad.
Joe Ryan. Well,
Joe Ryan, not bad. Bailey Ober, yeah, that's fine. I think he's I like the blurb on him, and then Pablo Lopez is sad.
Yeah, that part is sad. Joe Ryan sounds like he's gonna be kind of pretty.
I think he's fine.
Yeah. I've got my pitchers. No big surprise, Seattle being the top of my pitching pool. I'll just take any of those guys all over the place. And then also no surprise, Milwaukee, just doing that again. I don't feel like still have a hard time recommending any of these guys right now, but I'm doing it. Quinn Priester also just like kind of they haven't really said much about him other than he's still also ramping up. Like they haven't said he's not going to make opening days, but people are asking Brandon Woodruff. Nobody's asking about Quinn Priester, but I'm starting to get a little bit worried about where he's been at.
You're the one that sold me on him, so like if you're getting worried, I am out.
I want to see some. I want to see a blurb. I want to see that. Oh yeah, he's pitching first. Right now, it's an information vacuum. And I've drafted him a bunch already, so I'm just kind of holding off right now until I know. I think he ramps up just fine, and he can still be the most volume of any Brewers pitcher. But yeah, I did kind of skip over this players tab. Is there anything else in the players tab that you find interesting?
No, you covered it. It gives you all your picks that you've ever made. So this is my two highest players, Ivan Herrera and Jurickson Profar. Kind of see how that's going and where I'm getting value. So what this chart is showing is this middle line is current ADP. All those dots are your picks, and then like this dotted line is your trend line in your picks. So I loaded up early, and now I'm kind of in the let's get good value wave of Profar. Herrera is on the different side because loaded up early, and he's increasing in value, but he's in price, but he's still so expensive, so cheap. I'm fine with it. And so, but this, like for example, Doyle, I got some good prices. Now it's going to be. And then it was more expensive because they've just been rising, and it's going to crash back down because of that news blurb, I think. So, if you're like trying to get really in on this, this is really cool. Also, the timeline's interesting, so you can see when you drafted your most valuable teams. So, like this team's the most supposed to have the most ADP value that I've gained. Got a ton on Rasmussen, got a ton on Sal Stewart, good Wilson Contreras. So like I think it's pretty cool. It's always gonna like be bad for the most recent teams because you haven't had the opportunity to pick up the value yet.
Yeah, I guess how much do you think or care, or is this just fun to know, or because this is something
I
that
don't care
yeah, okay.
because I think that like I'm very intentional with drafting outfielders and pushing pitching and like drafting in a way that I don't know it's going to like lend itself to ADP value because I pick players ahead of ADP to fit the way I want to draft.
Yeah.
So like off the rip, I'm going to lose ADP value. That's why like every one of my current drafts is just in the negative. So like if this is a hard chart for me to even analyze, because like I would say that maybe this says I gained 157 points in ADP value. I would probably assume it's more than that from when I selected them. But like or what the ADP value was at that time. But anyway, so like I don't know if this is if playing the CLV game is definitely smart with the Connor Griffin type of stuff where we know it's coming. And I try to do it, but like I'm not concerned by the teams down here. Like it is that is the game.
Yeah. All right. So let's finish up. Let's throw it back up on the player page and talk through our top guys at each position, at least on the main slate. So you want to throw your pitching guys up first there, and talk about anybody you want to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of rip through them quickly. Shane Boz, they targeted him in a trade. They need the innings from him. Um, he's got like a good pitch. So like I think that I think that that's interesting. Braxton Ashcraft, our boy TJ Stats, called him out early as a pitcher of interest. And he's had some really good blurbs recently about how his role seems really solidified. And Saris is big on him too, which is like only going to add to the steam. So I feel really good about that position. Michael King bounced back. Drew Rasmussen, potential interest in more innings and coming back to Tampa Bay and the Trop is a great spot. I think Chris Sale still got Cy Young in him level skill set. Luis Morales, same thing, TJ Stats, but doesn't seem like as much steam, so I might be pausing on him. And Chase Burns is an absolute horse. If he's like him, he was so impressive today, and he's going to be one of my favorite pitchers to watch. So I want to be super invested in him while he's still reasonably priced, because I think next year you're going to look at someone who's like literally in the Scooble Skeens crochet conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have anybody else there at that same 21%?
Parker Messick, late round dart. Edward Cabrera, another trade guy that with a bunch of stuff that I think is interesting.
Yeah. All right. Let me throw my pitching up here. Hey, number one guy you just mentioned, Chase Burns. I mean, same thing with Connor Griffin. I just the guy I think that's going to go up in value. There was a quick blurb saying that he might not make the rotation, but I think that's silly. But he potentially, he's still going to have some inning type management, but he's just a monster, like you said. So yeah, I have him here at the top. Mizorowski, I still don't know exactly the role Mizorowski's going to have, but I want to be a part of that. Like you said, I want to watch this. I like watching this guy pitch for my team, and Priester's there. Cam Schlittler is here, just kind of a guy that is at the end of that young, exciting guy list. So I just have been grabbing him because it feels his price seems off relative to the hype of some other guys. And then George Kirby, Evaldi, who Bradish is there, Jack Leiter, Edward Cabrera, Emmett Sheen, Jack Flaherty. Yeah, I'm a lot flatter, I think, at pitcher so far than you, but trying to be in on some of these early, young, exciting guys. I guess I should ask as we go, like, what is your do you have a target this year on how high you want to get on guys?
Yeah, I mean, I want these to come down. I think that, like, especially on the pitching side. So my pitching is like it's late guy, late guy. Sale's the earliest guy on this list. Like everyone else here is late, 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 and that's because my early draft season strategy is really stick away from those elite pitchers. I don't think that. I mean, I absolutely would not sleep well at night if I just like landed on a big chunk of my teams where like Scooble got hurt and I have a big portfolio of him. And then also, I believe that if you're going to draft pitching like that, you need to be targeting lesser of them. So definitely not 8, maybe 7, and or ideally 6. And I would, if you're going to be drafting 6, I don't want to do that early too because I don't want to opt into hurt pitchers. And if you have Pablo Lopez on a 6 pitcher team, you now 5 pitcher team, and I don't want any of those. So a lot of these late guys will come down just because I'm naturally going to shift the style of pitching that I'm going to be drafting.
Okay. How about infielders? Quick.
Yeah. Ivan Herrera, we've talked about him previously. Catcher that's not really a catcher. He's a hitter. Really stands out in terms of StatCast. Michael Bush, I think that he's not really going to platoon this year. Big time. We saw some really good power output last year, and I think that there's more juice in the bag. And if not, then I'm totally fine with what he gave me last year. Zach Neto, I think, is projects really, really well, and I've been liking drafting him as either my first infielder or second infielder in kind of a juicy infield team. We are Hunter Goodman's that Colorado Rockies, which I can't quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you talk Wilson Contreras and Murakami.
Yeah. I think I guess Zach Neto kind of stands out to me here, but I get it. Let's throw up my infielder. A lot of this is guys that I wanted to get in Sal Stewart, Murakami, and Connor Griffin up here at the top, that just playing the guys that get them early in draft season. And, these guys are going to be up a round or two, I think, when the time comes to close on this. So while I'm not worried about the overall like ADP value of a lineup, I think it is important to win or to plan and know about these guys and draft them. And still, we talked about you can get value on Connor Griffin all the way up, but you're still going to get the best value later on. So, that's kind of where it was on Stewart and Murakami and Griffin. And, I've mixed in some Okamoto, but that's not as value as those other 3 guys. They were just guys I've taken because I knew they were going to go up. So
yeah, well done on all of these guys.
These numbers will probably come down depending on how they keep looking in spring. But because I still like all 3 of them at their current cost. We talked about Griffin, but Murakami and Stewart, I'm still fine where they're at right now. So if they remain where they're at, these numbers might not come down as much as I want. But then, William Contreras I just think is still has a season like he has in him too. We've talked about it here. William Contreras is my guy. And then also my guy, Corey Seager, I'm back. I'm ready to get hurt. So there's that.
Yeah, Corey Seager is a nice price. And I got a good chunk of Sal Stewart. He didn't make the first page, but he still had 20%. Yeah. And got Murakami, he made the first page. I'm real jealous of that Connor Griffin. Like I'm at 9% right now, not the 27 that you're looking at. I would much rather be at the 27. For me, I was just like kind of waiting to get more news on him, like just any indirection. Like I wanted to see him hit more and then get the comments, but like he hit immediately, and then they gave this blurb like, yeah, he's gonna be in the minors. I'm just like,
which one?
And like, what do I do about this?
Yeah.
Like, and then he just keeps doing it, and now they're like, good chance he's the starting shortstop day one. I'm just like, shit.
Yeah, I don't think that's the news yet. I don't think we're there yet. I think he still needs a decent bit of consistency in spring, but I think he can do it. Yeah, so that's good. I'm sure Nez is like over 50%, and he's just stacking that CLV bucks there, and he'll be chasing him up. But then a lot of guys, my usual guys, Yandy Diaz, Matt Chapman, are in here. And Ben Rice kind of snuck up in here as he dropped. I liked grabbing him. All right, outfield. No big surprise here. I'm going to sort by exposure, not fees, because that is one thing in this tab you can't filter by contest, which maybe I'll just tell Mike that, or maybe he'll see this and add that just because you have that filter on every other page. So I would expect it to be here. But anyway, so yeah, Dalen Lyle up here at the top. He's my Jacob Marcy. Although you did sell me on Jacob Marcy. I'm somewhat in on the Profire stuff. I like the Brave stacks. Kauser, I think, is just going really late, and he's a lot. He's been recently my guy that's like, oh, I need another outfielder. Oh, Kauser's there. Yeah, he'll be my fifth outfielder, and I'll tack one on at the end. Brent Rooker's one, early guy. Taylor Ward, Churio's here. I think Julio Rodriguez is accidentally been a first round target of mine. I didn't really know that, but yeah, pretty simple stuff here on the outfield. Let's check out your outfield before we wrap up this show.
I think a lot of what you would expect. Big in on Jerks and Profar. I was kind of expecting a lot of rise on him just because of the scarcity at outfield, and he played pretty well last year when he returned. Projections aren't as juicy as I was hoping, so I think that kind of tamped his a little bit, but he still projects to be the top of that lineup, which is nice. Brenton Doyle, and I've already talked about the Rockies, and he's been wrapping up a lot of outfield rooms with also TJ Friedel on the exact same conversation. Taylor Ward, I like him for some power, and Jacob Marcy, I like to run up a ton of volume. And then I've been doing I think with Jackson Merrill, I've been doing a lot of pull him up to the front of the board to pair him with Machado. But then also when I get Tatis on the back of the board, I pair him up too. I don't think I want to be at 23%. So like this is exactly why we have this conversation, because like him and Trent Grisham, like I'm not trying to be that high on these guys. It's just kind of like fit the build that I've been doing. I know how to get there, so I'm just like, okay, I'll do it. But now while doing this, I don't want to do that. Things I am really happy about, like this Roman Anthony's in a good spot. Like a lot of really early good like current compared to current value picks recently. Been kind of drafting a little bit earlier, but really happy with kind of how this has gone as one of my earlier targets. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so that about wraps it up for this evening. Yeah, it's been good. If you're hanging out here, make sure you go to that site, check it out, fantasy.vip. Shout out to Michael for building that for free for all of us. We have the Substack with the written stuff. Be sure to check that out. Join the YouTube members. Just throw in this first month, or just for a month. We have like a month before the start of the season. It's $2.99. Come hang out for the next month. Cancel it afterwards. We're not expecting people to hang around all season long. Obviously, we'd love for you to do it, but yeah, throw us that $2.99 for the next month and come hang out, and it'll be a good time. We got coming up tomorrow. Well, today when you see this, or in the past when you see this, whatever, we have the Sheep Seats is hanging out on Friday nights. We launched the new show, Jason and Brad Drafted Dinger, last week. I had way too much fun producing that. I don't know if I'm going to have quite the same impact this week, but yeah, they'll be back on Sunday night for the next episode of that. And I have a couple ideas that I'm going to maybe try and put together to throw at them again and surprise them. But that's
that was like I had like so much fun watching that. I audibly laughed. My wife's like, "Oh, it's good to see you really enjoying this right now." Like we're sitting in the same room, me headphones on, and she's like totally accepting that I'm really enjoying what I'm watching at the moment. You crushed it with the Jordan Walker, like unreal, and I'm excited to see what bits we have going this week.
Yeah,
People ask for live drafts. We got live drafts.
Yes. Yep. And we've got this content. Next week will be pitching week. We have some new friends joining us for the first show. Some guys from 1 week season will be stepping in and talking the first pitchers, and then Brad and Spencer will be joining us for the second half. Hey, you got the week off next week, Billy.
I know.
Shows.
I know, and I got rankings published to the Discord recently, so like I don't have anything to do. It's great.
Spend time with your family.
Yeah. Go to bed on a normal time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Get some sleep. Or draft more. Whatever.
Yeah, I think
it's up to you.
I think it ends up being like a large volume week for me. Maybe I'll rip my solo shot.
There you go. There's a bunch of contests again in the lobby, so check it out. And we'll wrap it up. Billy and myself, thank you for joining us, and go fill some drafts.